Hi everyone, it's Ajanette and I am here to demonstrate a two-way ANOVA in SPSS. I want you to see that first in the Module 5 you can click on the Chapter 13 Excel sheet data file, and what you're going to see is you're going to see this. This is actually, I do not have a sample data set in the chapter, so I have our own data set that we're going to utilize for the purposes of this demonstration, and this is the data file for that. So our dependent variable is going to be the final grade that students achieve in the class, and we're going to have two independent variables. Remember, a two-way ANOVA is dealing with two separate variables or factors. Our first variable is going to be gender, where students are going to be identified as either male or female. Our second factor or independent variable is going to be the type of class, where students are going to attend either an online or face-to-face class. This represents a 2x2 between subjects design that will rely on a two-way independent measures ANOVA. Because it's between subjects, we know that there are different participants in each condition of the study. So you can be a male in an online class, a male in a face-to-face class, a female in an online class, or a female in a face-to-face class. And so we will compare performance and see if gender affects the dependent variable. In other words, do grades differ significantly between male and female? So we're going to look at the main effect for gender. We're also going to look at the main effect for type of class. Do grades differ based on the type of class? In other words, do online or face-to-face students do significantly better than the other group as measured by their final grade in the class? And so again, here's our data set. I'm going to take you into SPSS, and we're going to have to code this data. So first, let's set up our variables. In a two-way independent measures ANOVA, you must set up a variable for each IV or each factor, as well as for the dependent variable. So the dependent variable needs to have a separate variable assigned to it. So let's do that now. Let's say for name, we'll call it final grade. It's going to be a numeric score. And then it's going to be scale data. The next one, we're going to call it gender. Oops, I added a space there, so let's not do that. We're also going to code it numerically. We're going to label it gender. And then, as we have discussed in class, for independent measures design or ANOVA, your IVs or your factors are usually nominal, and that's how we divide groups. So gender are different in name only, so it's nominal data. And then we're also going to add one for type of class. Again, we're going to code it using a number, and we're going to put our labels in. And again, it's nominal. They're different in name only. Okay, so now let's go into our data view. And so essentially, we're going to call males 1 or 2. So we have to differentiate between our factors. We're going to call a gender the A factor, and we're going to call the type of class the B factor. So notice that each one of these numbers starts with A, and then we're going to use the B for online or face-to-face, so each one of these starts with B. And then the 1 or the 2 is going to indicate what condition they are in. So we have our little coding system here. A1 represents males, and then A2 represents females. And then B1 represents those enrolled in online, and B2 represents those enrolled in face-to-face. So let's go ahead and input that into SPSS as well as the dependent variable, which is the final grade. Again, I'm lazy, so I will take shortcuts. And fortunately, in Excel, you can literally just copy and paste from Excel directly into the SPSS data file. So any shortcut available, I'm going to take it. So I'm going to do the same thing again for the coding of my gender. And I'm going to move it over. So all I'm doing, oh, gender's not coding properly. So let's try that again. We're going to Control C. And then we're going to go Control V. And it's not carrying over. Let's see if I have the same problem with the type of class. Control C. And now back to SPSS. Control V. And it's not going over either. So let's just see if I can manually code it. Now remember I said numeric only, so we don't have to put the A. We just recognize that the A is for gender and the B is for type of class. We just have to put the number. That may be why it's not copying over. That's okay. So I just want to make sure I got this right. There's 5 1s, 5 2s, 5 1s, and 5 2s. So let me do that again. Should be a 1, 3, 4, 4, 5, and then that's a 2. Okay, and then it looks like the first half are all in B1. So there's 10 1s and then 10 2s. Okay, so now our data should match up the coding system here, where our first person was a male in an online, and then the next group were females in online, and then the next group were males in face-to-face, and then the next group were males in online. So, females in face-to-face. So, what we're doing then is we're seeing if either gender or type of class affected their final grade. So for a two-way ANOVA, you can reference on, I'm looking it up in your book for you, page numbers. You can reference at the end of the chapter, page number 431. Although our data set is not there and our sample research study is not there, it does take you through the directions on how to set up your data file as well as how to analyze that data. And so what we're going to do now is analyze our two-way ANOVA using independent measures. So we go Analyze, General Linear Model, and it's going to be univariate. We're going to throw in, and it's univariate because we have one dependent variable. So our dependent variable, we're going to throw into the dependent variable. That's final grade. And then we have two fixed factors. Those are our independent variables. And that's going to be gender and type of class. And then we want to do a couple of things while we're here. We want to go into options. We want to make sure we get all the means because remember we have to do post hoc analyses. We have 4 different groups, so we need to see who did better than whom in terms of their final grade. So we want to get means for overall and for each of the independent variables. And then also remember, in a two-way ANOVA, not only are we analyzing the main effect for each of the factors, we're also analyzing the interaction between every combination of factors. Since we only have a two-way ANOVA with 2 factors, we only have one interaction. and that's the gender by type of class. So notice, because we went into the general linear model univariate, SPSS already knew to incorporate because we identified what our dependent variable was and what our factors were, SPSS knew to incorporate that interaction option. So there it is. We're going to compare those main effects again for those post hoc analyses. We're going to do our descriptives, our effect size, and then our homogeneity tests. We're going to leave our confidence interval at 5, and we're going to click continue. Now, one thing you can also do is you can also look for your plots. Remember, we talked about the graph can tell you whether or not visually there's an interaction as well. So it really doesn't matter what you want to put on the horizontal, or if we had like 3 factors, we could do separate lines or separate plots, but we just need to identify which one we're going to put on horizontal and which one we're going to put on vertical. Whatever we put on horizontal, it'll choose the other for vertical because we only have 2. And then let's add a plot. And so and that's fine. We're going to hit OK. And then we should be okay. Some of these other things, well, let's run our post hoc analyses. We want to do post hoc for gender, type of class, and let's do Tukey, and we'll also do Chaffee, because those are the 2 effect sizes discussed in your book. And very commonly you see the LSD used as well, but that's okay. We'll use these 2. We'll hit OK, and we'll let it run our analyses. And so I'm going to just walk you through this very quickly, and then I'll come back and give you a PDF version that I'll walk you through that goes through a detailed description of how you write up the results. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to go to the tests of between subjects effects. And notice we have multiple F values and multiple significance values. We have 1 for the main effect of gender, 1 for the main effect of type of class, and then 1 for the interaction. Each of these represents the degrees of freedom, so we would use 1, and then the error total of 16, and then the F score and the significance value. Notice that gender is above 0.05, meaning that final grade did not differ based on gender, so we do not need to do any further analyses. Actually, I need to correct myself. We only have 2 levels in each IV, so post hoc analyses aren't even necessary for us to look at. Type of class is, it appears to be significant. It's 0.05, below 0.05, so it appears that final grade did differ based on type of class, but not gender. And then there was no interaction because that F value significance level is greater than 5% as well. So ultimately what we need then is to report the main effect for each IV and the results of the interaction. Because we do not have more than 2 levels, post hoc analyses are not required as a follow-up, but we still need to provide that statement of interpretation using our cell means to indicate who did better than whom. So although gender was not significant, it appears that males did do slightly better than females based on the means. And then when we look at, when we go down further and we look at type of class, it appears that 2, which I don't recall, was face-to-face. They actually did worse than the online class. So I will do a PDF and we'll go through this in greater detail.